Hi, everyone. I am Tash, the Program Director with No More Under. And right now for our live, we have Luis joining us, which is so exciting. We're doing a live for Book Lovers Day. August 9th is Book Lovers Day. I must admit, I didn't know that until this year, but here we are. We seem to find a lot of different days to celebrate. And we have Book Lovers Day, and Luis has an incredible book. And so we're just going to chat with Luis, his experiences as a college swimmer, an Olympic swimmer, a swimmer that moved from his home in Guatemala to the US to pursue his dreams. So, Luis, I feel like there's so much that we can explore, but I would love to start off with, how did you get into swimming? Like your early story, because I know that in your book, you go through your whole story. You know, it's so much more than just your moments at the Olympics. So let's start off with you being little, your journey into swimming, and the good stuff that came after that.
Well, I think at first, kind of like everybody just joins, because either you do it because it's a healthy thing to do, or your parents make you do it, or whatever it is. But for me, I believe it was two things. I really loved doing it. And second, because I had so much energy. My parents were like, well, this might be like a good idea for you. And I think slowly, we realized that it gives a lot of value to you as a person. Even when I was a kid, I understood, like if you want to achieve something, you had to wake up early, for example. Those little things, I think, really resonated with me and my personality, and I'm sure you as an athlete as well. It kind of like on the back of your head, you always have that, knowing that this is going to help you in your future, right? It's definitely a tool as well. So, and I knew that even, since I was a kid. So that is something that I really, really enjoyed. And I think my parents really liked it as well. And, fortunately, I had parents that were with me the whole time. And that was really important to me that, my parents and I were on the same page on what we were doing and what was the best thing for me. But honestly, they never forced me to do anything. This is just something, going back again, this is something I wanted to do and I really liked.
That's so cool. I'll just mention, Luis, it's a bit echoey where you're sitting. I wonder, I think where you were was potentially a little bit clearer. I don't know.
It was because of the dogs. I'm gonna take them because they're so loud.
We don't mind dogs. I'm sure we're an animal friendly crew over here. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's so powerful, and I know that, and it has so many health benefits too, right?
Yes, no, that definitely. That's another thing, right? When we talk about water safety and things like that, that was something that was really big with my family as well. That's a big aspect of swimming as well. My dad, for example, was like, I'm never going to force you to do anything, but I think it's good that you learn all 4 strokes, just to know that you're proficient at something. And I practice other sports. It wasn't only swimming, which also I think is important, right? Just to know that swimming is exactly what you want to do. And I know, like people that have followed me in my country mostly, right, throughout my career, know that, that there's different sports out there, and swimming doesn't have to be the one, but it is a tool to become a better person, and swimming safety is also really important.
Totally. Yeah, that's amazing. So when did you start looking at the US, and why did you?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I had a teammate. Well, I consider her my lifelong teammate. Her name is Gisela. She used to swim at Auburn when Auburn was at its peak, right? Like 2006, 07, 08. And by that time, I was only, 12 years old, right? And she went back to Guatemala. We used to train under the same coach. And I remember watching her cap with the AU logo, and I was like, oh, wow, I wish one day I can go there. And so I told my dad, and my dad was like, yeah, there's some videos that they're selling, from like techniques from Auburn, and it was David Marsh giving his, like he would like break down the strokes, and I would have him on my desk, like I would do homework, and I had all his, like, it was like books, and then all the Auburn videos. So I had the turns, I had the starts, I had the fly, I had the breast, even though I've never taken a proper breaststroke in my entire life. I didn't learn anything.
No. It's okay though, because I I couldn't do fly. Luis couldn't do breaststroke. It's
But
fine.
everybody knows that breaststrokers are weird individuals. So, so that I was like, I'm not doing that. But that's how that started, right? And then I started training to go race in the U.S. like minor meets, like Grand Prix or before it was a TYR Pro Series. It was the Arena Pro Grand Prix, the Arena Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So that was like back in like 2010, 2011.
Wow.
And I had the opportunity to go a few times by myself, a few times with a team, like with the national team. Like we would do our trips, and I would just became entranced with how much, I don't want to say better, but how much more invested people were with the sport. I mean, in general, right? Like people definitely took it extremely seriously there. Just seeing that just really inspired me, and I knew that I had the advantage of having been born in the U.S., so I had that also, that that made it easier. So I think pieces kind of just fell together, and it worked out because I had the opportunity to go and see and learn, and that's what I wanted to do, and it would have not made sense not to do it, right? And so that was my next step, and as you know, like, as a matter of fact, I didn't go to Auburn first. I had to transfer after 6 months from a D2. It's a great school, but Auburn was Auburn is what I wanted since I was young. So that's how I ended up there.
That's so amazing. And then obviously you were an amazing college swimmer. Luis and I were lucky enough to be college teammates. We were both at Auburn for a lot of overlapping time.
Many years.
I remember meeting Luis in our athlete dining hall, so we have a great history there. But Luis, when did you start looking at the Olympics? Obviously, being a college athlete and going to NCAAs is amazing, but then when did it start becoming something where you could represent Guatemala at the Olympics?
Right. I think the Olympics is something that I knew I always wanted to do. But, people know they want to do a lot of things, but I didn't really believe it for, maybe deep down I did, but I didn't really believe it could actually happen maybe until I was already in the U.S. and I was really improving. But I think I really, let's say, placed the focus on the Olympics when I realized that if I was motivated enough to do something, right, I was able to achieve it. And I got on this, I really got into my head that I could actually do whatever I wanted to do, right? And obviously that's not true, right? Like there's a limit to everything you can do. But I really believed that if I told myself I could do something, I was going to do it. And even though to a certain capacity I did, going to the Olympics, it was the whole process that really made it worth it, right? Like being able to go to Auburn, meet, amazing teammates, right? And being part of a group of people that really pushed themselves and each other to do the best. It was not till then where I actually believed I could qualify to the Olympics. And when I did, it was an amazing, one of the best feelings I've ever had in my entire life, because, people on the outside, I've gathered a good following after the Olympics, and it's been great, but it's really hard to describe to people when they ask what it feels like to qualify to NCAAs, qualify to the Olympics, get your best time. It's a very, like, I am yet to find, something outside of swimming that can replicate that. Maybe when, like, you have your first child or something, it's really it's a very intense moment, and that really pushes you to do the next thing, right? And then the next thing, and then the next thing. So it becomes like a snowball effect almost.
Yeah. Well, and it didn't stop at Rio, right? Because then it really, Tokyo is where you became the swimmer, and I love that story at the start of your book of how you became the swimmer. So I'd love for you to talk about that, and then
of course,
the achievements that you have now that led to your book.
That is a fantastic question. But I've had, I'm not saying the book has like sold out or anything, but there's been a few people that have read it, mostly people that I either know or like known people from people I know, like kind of like mutual people that have like reached out to me or my parents to talk about the book, and they're always very interested about the title. Why is it called The Swimmer? What's up with that? And it was almost like an inside joke with my parents, because my parents helped me through this project and my editors. And the thing is, swimming was so, not many people swam, like not swimming was not a very common sport in Guatemala, right?
Right.
So for the longest time, when I was gone, like kind of like people back home knew about a swimmer that was racing in the US and racing somewhere, and nobody really knew who I was, right? Like I was just kind of like the swimmer, right?
The swimmer, just
I
like,
was just
oh,
the swimmer.
that guy.
Yeah, and then slowly I started getting, but not in a bad way, out of admiration, I guess. Like my dad would be walking around and they would be like, "Oh my gosh, you're the swimmer's dad. You're that swimmer's dad. You're that swimmer's dad, aren't you?" And but time goes by afterwards and people really start realizing what you're doing. And I would say it was not until Tokyo that I stopped being the swimmer, and then I actually got a name, and now was, Luis, now finally, like, me, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. It's very what's the word, cathartic or something, because it was finally being able to, even though people always respected me, it was getting the respect of an entire country, really. And
Wow.
and then it was like my graduation from stop being the swimmer to now being, who I am.
Yeah. You were being
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
That's so amazing. And
Yeah,
I mean,
but I know nobody really knows. That's kind of like an inside thing
yeah.
with my parents. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. But I mean, it's well deserved that people finally learned your name, being the first Guatemalan swimmer to make a final. And was it semi-final as well at the Olympics?
Pardon?
Was it? Because I know you were the first Guatemalan
Yes,
swimmer to
yes.
ever make a final, but was it semi-final as
Yes,
well?
yes, yeah. There had never been a semifinal or a final,
Wow.
and not even at World Championships. And I remember being 2/10 of a second of a semifinal at World Championships, and that was like I've had a panic attack. I didn't know how to, but that's part of the book. That's part of like all the things I learned, and I'm sure you went through moments in your swimming career where you were like, man, that sucked. That was terrible. And it was hard to get over it. And it takes a lot of mental fortitude to get over these things. But yeah, in Tokyo was the first semi-finalist and first finalist.
That is so incredible, Luis. And the journey wasn't perfect, right? And that's part of the
No.
story too, is like how you grew and just all the different twists and turns to get to this moment. That's so amazing.
No, yeah, it's not an easy path, and that is one of the things I like to portray there, and one of the things that I think has resonated, and most incredibly has resonated more with the adults than with the younger crowd that has read the book. Like I said, it hasn't been like thousands and thousands and thousands, but but the few dozen that have reached out back, it's mostly people that are adults that really, even after so much experience in their personal careers and whatever they do, they really had no idea, what it really takes to be a swimmer, and what it's not only about me. There's people that right, that were my really, really close friends, that we were in the same training group, that actually have part in that book. They have words there, they share their experience through their eyes and what swimming is to them, because this book is not only about, it's not really an autobiography, it's just a conjunction of stories, right?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. And they have a part in that as well, and it's through the eyes of them, what they remember from their experience. So and none of that is easy, right? Most of it is hard, right?
Yeah.
Only very few things are actually positive, but they're so positive that the whole thing is worth it. That's kind of like the message of the book. Yeah.
Totally. And that's so amazing that some people reached out. So you've had people connect with you and share how your book has moved them?
Yes,
wow.
Yes. I had one really, really, really good one. I have a really good close friend from many, many years. They're three siblings, two girls and an older guy, and I was really good friends with the two girls because we used to swim together. And the youngest of them has a boyfriend that works in media, and I had never met him before until after Tokyo. And just very professional. He did an interview with me because he works in media, and it was a great experience, but very professional. And I gave him my book, as a courtesy for him, giving me the interview. I gave him my book, and he reached out like a couple months later, and it was this really beautiful written message of, how he's going through like a tough moment in his career, like trying to like figure out what to do and realizing that things aren't easy. And he was like, your book really moved me to be inspired to, understand that this is not easy, and there's things that are just kind of happen, and you gotta hope that they happen for a reason, right? And then when they do, you can look back and say, well, I'm glad I took this decision, like messages like that. And there's been there was a really good one too, a critic that wrote it on a newspaper in Guatemala. I don't know him personally. I know where he knows me from, but I don't know him personally. But it was a really good one. He goes more in depth into like the legal aspects of good things and bad things that we had. You come from a small country as well. It can get difficult sometimes.
Right.
Resources can be a problem. But yeah, I've had people reach out to my parents. It's been really good. Like the people, let's say the couple dozen people that have reached out have been really, really good messages, because there are some things in that book that might trigger somebody, and
Totally.
but it has been mostly, if not all, has been very positive and I guess motivating to do maybe an activity like this again in the future.
Yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. Just to be able to share your words and know that you can impact someone else. That's so cool.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. And so now, so where can people get your book, Luis? If we want to get it, where can we get it?
So the one in Spanish, it's easy because it's in Guatemala, and I actually just today, coincidentally, I had received a picture. We had some problems with distribution at first, and now it's finally, like just now, it's actually being seen at the library, at the bookstore. So it's kind of it's a process. You could imagine, it's a process. It's not like you could just it's there and then it's there in the ether for everybody to pick. But so in Guatemala, it's easy because it's physical there. In English, you can find it in Amazon. Otherwise, it's a little bit tough in Amazon because there was some problems with the title. I'm telling you, it's tough. It's not easy. But I have in Guatemala, I have some copies in English because we only had limited copies in English, and they all like sold out. But it is in Amazon in a Kindle version. Yes.
Nice. Yeah.
But the Kindle version, mostly like really close people have actually gone and downloaded the Kindle version because not many people knew about it. It's like really like close friends and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Well, I feel like I don't know, I read on Kindle, so hopefully a lot of our followers read on Kindle too if they're English speaking and they can download it. But otherwise, that's super exciting. I was going to ask, obviously coming from Guatemala and having so many of your supporters from home speaking Spanish, I was going to ask, is it so it's being published in both languages?
I wrote it in Spanish, like the whole way. I wrote it in Spanish. I mean, every single word you see there, with the exception of I think like 2 or 3 pages because I was racing, those were transcribed by my editors. But 99.99999% of the pages were written by me, every single word. And of course, it was edited, and my editors were amazing. At keeping the voice, but I'm not a writer, right? So making it sound professional, professional, but I'm not a writer, so it had to sound like somebody that wasn't a writer, right? Somebody young that has no experience in writing books. So we kept that voice, and it was great. And then we had some good family friends that were professional English translators, and they did an amazing job. I reread the book in English, and I would have not written it better, like they translated it perfectly.
That's so cool.
I had a foster's grandfather, which is the grandfather of one of my best friends. He was in Guatemala when we launched the book, and he read half the book from one night to the next, because just to say that it was easy to read in English, it was translated really quickly, but really efficiently. So he was able to read it, and he doesn't really know Spanish, so the translation was good enough for him to read very easily.
That is so awesome. How powerful to have it in 2 different languages and be able to share your story to so many audiences. you know, regardless of language, because language is a huge thing. And so I
Oh yeah.
just love, and how powerful that you were able to do it in Spanish. I'm sure that, I mean, your English is phenomenal. I feel like even the last time we chatted, it's got even stronger. But it's so powerful for you to be able to share it in your first language, and have all the words that you want to use to share as intimately as you can.
Exactly. That was, you mentioned it, and that was a big thing, right? Yeah. I wanted to write it in Spanish because, you know, my athletic formation, if you will, my athletic development really didn't flourish until I was in the United States. But my development as a person was all in Guatemala, you know, till I was 17. And there are so many things that only we do in a certain way, in certain mannerisms, in certain slang, if you will. And I was very adamant with my editors that I wanted that to stay, even if they sounded offensive. But that's just how we talk, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There is cussing there is old, not necessarily because I'm cussing, but that's how it was told to me. And I think it's hilarious now, right? That all the cussing that I was around when I was like 10,
sure, right? Yeah.
That's just the way the sport is down there, right? Like I was just around all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I learned so much, right? Because he was never ill-intentioned. You know, my coach, may he rest in peace, you know, he was cussing all the time, right? All the time. he wanted us to be better, right? He was like insulting you or anything. That was just how he talked.
Sure. But every coach is different.
Yeah, but he cared so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
That's so amazing. And you want it to be as authentic as possible for you, right? Like that's
Correct.
your authentic experience. Whether every coach should be cussing at their swimmers or not, that's personal opinion, but that was your experience. And so that's just amazing that you have been able to share that. And I really hope that this conversation will lead to some more book purchases, whether it's on Amazon. Yeah. I know. Sorry.
And the big thing is, I don't know if you knew, but none of these purchases go to me. Like all this money for the book is a donation. So everything has been donated, which it hasn't been much because it's a project in perpetuity, hopefully, right? But the book is donated to either the Guatemalan Olympic Foundation, which it's that are in like the endangered areas, or a foundation for burned children, mostly electrical burns. I was there last December, and we had a great activity. And they know this is a slow project, right? And it's you know, like I said, I'm not a writer, so I don't have the reach for writing. So I'm glad I'm doing activities like this. But you know, little by little, year by year, hopefully, you know, that'll amount to something significant in the future. So I don't get anything for this yet.
Wow, Luis, I didn't realize that. That's so beautiful, to give back to the sport that's obviously given you so much and continues to do so. And
yes,
wow, yeah, that's incredible. And would you mind saying the name of the full title in both languages so that we can, because we have quite a few people on here, so I'd love to.
It is in Spanish. It's both the swimmer in English and el nadador in Spanish. Like it's very. That's also why we chose that. It's very simple. I can write down for you later what you have to type in Amazon to find it, because it's a little tricky. There was some problem with the transcription of the title, so it's a little different. So it's kind of hard to find.
Gotcha. Well, I have it up. So the title on Amazon is The Swimmer, and then it's the Guatemalan who wrote his name into the Olympic Games final.
Yes. So the words are a little switched to what they are in Spanish, so it can be a little confusing on the subtitle. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what's the full phrase in Spanish?
I think the problem is that's what it is, but in Spanish the words go a little bit, you know, they go different, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
It doesn't translate in the same order. Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted to say it in case you have any of your Spanish followers on here.
I actually had the book here with me in Spanish.
Oh, nice.
To show, to show. Hold on. Now I lost it. I have no idea where it is.
No stress. You're good. Hopefully the dogs haven't taken it.
I don't know if they can read it here.
Nice.
I also have a picture on it on my profile. So
Okay, yeah,
yes.
we'll link it and send people that way. So we'll definitely we'll be sharing that out. So yeah, thank you so much, Luis, for
No, Tash, for sure.
it's always such a pleasure to catch up with you, and your story
Yes.
is so inspiring, and I hope that we can get a couple more people to get the book. I would have supported them buying the book even if the proceeds went to you, because your story
Oh,
is
thank you. Yes.
incredible. But even to know that you made that choice to support
Yeah.
organizations, that's incredible. So
No,
thank
yeah.
you
Yeah.
so much.
Yes, no, Tosh, thank you for the opportunity of like helping reach out a little bit. And like I said, this is an ongoing project. It's not something that was gonna like uh, finish in like, oh, a month and it's done, right? This is hopefully, for the future.
Totally.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's so incredible. Oh, people are already commenting saying, yeah, if you type in his name, it comes up.
Yes.
So people are
Yes.
looking. Yay. I'm so glad.
Yes.
That's
I'm
awesome.
glad some have bought it already.
Yes, that's so cool. Well, have a great night, Luis,
Thank you,
and
you
we
too,
look forward
Tosh.
to promoting your book very
Say hi
soon.
to Tommy for me.
I will.
All right. Bye.
Bye.